and this is where the grifting thing comes into play, right? Is that when I started sending out 30 reasons, I was cut off. And
it's a brave thing to do for someone in this community. Like you said, he was the king.
it was the only thing to do.
It was the right thing to do, and this is
Yeah.
why I have a lot of respect because, like I said earlier on,
Yeah,
just to briefly say, many people wouldn't touch it, and you
Yeah.
did, and you spread it amongst. Not just you didn't spread it just around in social circles. You spread it amongst the creator circles, and that is big because you got kind of discommunicated in a way, right?
And
Robert David Steele, you sent it to him, right?
Yeah.
He didn't react too well.
So
you sent it to Robert David Steele, and he didn't react well to it.
So I didn't send it directly to him. I sent it to Kirsten. I sent it to her, and she sent it to Robert. Right.
Right.
But because what I was telling her was, listen, she knew that I was, off on Charlie very early on, and she, I think, ended up ending things with him like in December. And we talked.
Do you know what that was over? She never really explained that. I thought it was over the 30 reasons thing, but
I doubt if her reasons were necessarily the accurate reasons because there's two sides to every story, right?
Sure. Let's not speculate then. Let's just go into what happened.
Yeah. So it was basically I sent it to her, and I was, because the conversations we were having at the time were daily, and I was saying, this is we can't be associated with him in any way. And I'm not talking about like we're going to disown somebody who, because they're ruffling our feathers, that we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard if we're going to be considered in the truth community.
Sure.
So she was open to that. I sent it to her, and she immediately sent it out to, I believe, 2 people.
Right.
And one of them came back and said to both of us, cut the shit, stop the bullshit. This guy only has few subs on YouTube. He's full of shit, and get your head out of your ass. This was from RDS Steele.
Yeah, Robert David Steele did not like you or Kirsten, or you both.
Yeah, and
obviously highlighting my work.
What's that?
So Robert David Steele. So Kirsten W sent it to him. You sent it to Kirsten W. He replied back to both of you saying, "Cut it out. No one listens to this kid, MC Call of Truth."
Yep.
Actually, where the benefit is Charlie Ward. So
yeah, and so
irregardless of what he's uncovered, Charlie Ward is where the money is. No one listening to this kid.
And at the time, he was putting together his tour.
Okay.
With Scott McKay.
Sure.
And let's just say they needed Charlie, and they didn't want to ruffle any feathers, and they didn't
want to rock the boat on that
because they got to raise a lot of money. And so that's the scenario that
again comes back to money.
As humans, we come back to that. And if this is going to risk money, and so how is RDS, God rest his soul, how does RDS have any more credibility than Anderson Cooper, who was actually worked for the CIA? His mother was CIA. He was CIA. He's been CIA since the get-go, completely controlled. How does he, differ if the decisions regarding truth are being compromised for the sake of money? And so we're on that same path with some of these people. And now it's not about, I don't, if somebody needs to make money, they got to make money. Just provide good opportunity, good information, and do it with integrity. because the bottom line here is that there has to be a sustainability to the truth. And everything that's set up right now, for as much as I've been banned and shadow banned and terminated, and so many people have, that's the way they get in the way of us being able to sustain this. And because the hoops that I've had to jump through just to do what I'm doing now has been, I can't even, I wouldn't even be able to list them all if you gave me a week. And it's all been set up to make it too difficult to get the real information out there. And that's another thing I tell my audience. Look at the people that are having difficulty trying to get their message out. Look at the people who my Twitter was cut in half overnight.
Mine was as well.
It's like, and my two co-hosts, they were completely terminated. And one of my other accounts, I had a business, the indoctrination account was terminated. And so, look at what they're doing and look at how they're trying to get in the way of this. So, but there has to be a sustainability for it. And like I've said of you, I want to see more content from you. So for your listeners, if you could get some more money to you to do more promotions, because that's where the money, see, the shift in this has to be that the money's got to stop flowing to the mainstream and has to flow to the people who are providing a real value to what they're doing. And all we have to be critical of, I think, is the value that person is providing and the value that people are able to get from what they're giving in return. This is, I mean, whether it's a barter, whether it's I had a lovely Snedhead sent me an Afghan yesterday and knitted herself and this little cute little card holder and things like that. And I get stuff like that, and it's amazing. Little pictures from their kids and stuff, but that's not paying my rent, and I live in Southern California.
Lovely,
and it ain't cheap.
I get you.
And I'm still working a full-time job.
This is the thing. So we're both working a full-time job, and I've got, I've said this before. I don't, all I've got is YouTube advertising. We both know, everyone knows that's nothing. It's pennies. Yeah, not pennies, not pounds. When it is pounds, not many pounds. So, or dollars. So, and I don't ask for money. I'm very grateful of the people that have really found value in my work and decided to, click on the link, to give me a donation. But it doesn't have, you can't, it's very difficult to run unless you're getting like millions of views, literally.
Yeah.
You can't, it's not sustainable. So,
and you're not going to get, and you're not going to get that. I'll tell you right now, you're not going to get millions of views.
No,
on YouTube,
because it's not going to be promoted. It's not going to be what's going to want to be seen. What's going to want to be promoted. And so
you're taking out the people that they need.
Well, the people that are bringing in almost millions of views, people that are making them money. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and so it's not to say, and you're right. So there's a whole thing around this, and I was going to try and save this for another show because I was thinking this is going to be a two-parter.
Yeah,
but I mean, we can discuss it now. There is a whole thing. I would love to do this as a job. I really feel that this is my calling, but I can't. It's not sustainable. I don't ask for money. I don't run any promotions at the time. But I'm not saying that people giving offers through their brand, their account, whatever, that's always bad. It's not.
No,
it's there's two issues here. There's the people that are giving false information and then pushing whatever they're pushing. And people are signing up through them, through eating up their false information. So that's grifting, right? And then there is the bad deals. So before we came on stream, we talked a bit about multi-level marketing because I wanted to get your views on this, and I wanted to talk to you about some of what you offer. to your viewers,
Yeah.
which we discussed. And what I've already said, there's a line between grifting and making money for doing a good job, and doing that where there's benefit to both yourself and the viewer. So where do you draw that line? And sometimes it's a bit blurry and it's hard to find. So I don't do any of this, but maybe I should, because I want to, I'd love to do this as a job. You can't do this as a job, and you can't continue helping people unless you have a steady source of income. You can't do that through YouTube advertising, certainly, and you can't rely on donations, and so giving giving an offer of products that are actually a good deal to your viewers can be a good thing. But it's such a jungle out there with all these schemes going around, and and also the big problem is these influencers that say buy this from us, buy this forex, buy this foreign exchange money, buy these dinars because they're going to go up, giving these going to go up in value, giving this false information around money, giving this false information even around perhaps metals, if they are exchanging metals. If you give information saying, well, this is going to happen to the value in that, again, that's not genuine, because you just don't know. And but
past performance does not guarantee future results. And so in investment, that my day job is I work for a fund. I work for a guy who's a really, really great stock picker. Like, he picks 30 companies that are going to do, he thinks are going to do really well, because he reads the whole book, man. He really knows these companies. And then he picks 30 that aren't going to do so well, right? So he really researches it, and he comes from an entrepreneurial background, not from Wall Street. Because I've asked him, I said, people have said, you invest in the market. He says, no, I invest in companies, right? And so whether they're going to do bad or poorly. And so when we put out any kind of figures, like last year, he was the number 3rd guy in the country, right? And then, but this year he's not. So we can't say, hey, last year he was number 3 and this year he's going to be number 3, or, and there actually has to be a disclaimer. Past performance does not guarantee future results. And so this is a problem that a lot of companies get into, because they're so desperate to attract people that they'll put out false claims. And sometimes it comes from the company, and sometimes it comes from the individuals within the company, right? And that's what mostly happens, because the company and all its physical employees, they are watched closely, because they could destroy the whole thing. But it's the independent contractors that are out there that are doing things. So so that's a really important factor. And I do like a handful of things that I offer my audience. And I went from, I don't know if I said this when we were chatting earlier, if I said it here,
I
but
know what you're going to say, and you said you haven't said it in this chat. Yeah.
Okay. So
200.
So I did
episodes.
200 shows.
Yeah.
Without any link, without any request for money. That's a lot of shows. That's a lot of prep. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of, and by the way, I'm not suggesting. What's that?
I said it absolutely is. And it's not just 20 minutes a show, is it?
No, it's long. We go, if I do a 3-hour show, people are like, why so short? And, but to do, and I'm not suggesting, by the way, that my criteria for somebody of value is to do 200 shows before they ever ask for a dime, because most people can't sustain that.
No,
because
I certainly can't. I think I've done like 98 or 99 videos.
Yeah.
But I see myself as a video creator. I don't do many lives, even doing interviews like this one is not going to be put out live. I
right.
much prefer to have the control and
Sure,
yeah.
sure, and
So
that's just a different way to do things, which is
mm.
fine. And honestly, the reason I went live is because I don't want to spend the time in the edit room because
It's a ball like I'll tell you. It'd be
I've
much
edited
easier to put it out raw.
I've edited feature films, and I'm like that's a process,
Yeah, sure.
and so I don't want to do that with, and I also want it to be natural. Like I know yours are natural too. You're not like cutting them in a way that
Oh yeah,
it's very natural. You're just putting like a little something at the beginning, a little something at the end, and cutting out the stuff you don't need in
the
there.
dead air. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll tell you now. I've cut out probably 2 piss breaks for both of us.
Yeah, exactly, 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 and that's a hell of a lot better than watching our teeth float, you know what I
Well,
mean? So,
absolutely. But who
yeah,
wants to sit
so
there? But in the end of the day, it's a different thing. It's a different kettle of fish. So with
yeah,
live
so
streamers, especially
so
those that don't have, piss bags attached to them,
right, right,
you know,
right,
there is, this the human need for toilet breaks, and there's the
yeah,
dead air time, things like
yep,
that. So even with this interview, I won't edit much out, but I will edit out the toilet breaks. But I
right,
won't edit out some of the, our contemplation time. I'm going to make this very, very, it's not going to take me much editing at all. I
right,
will not remove much at all, apart from the fact that we're not going to be on screen because we're going to the toilet.
right, right,
Really.
exactly, exactly.
But
Nobody wants to see
for
that.
some of my videos, when I put them out,
Yeah,
especially those that are investigating people and that are done on my own, I do
mhm,
heavy editing, like 30 Reasons, for example, where I'm
yeah,
having to pull all these clips together and I'm having to do these
that's
bits here and
major.
bits there, talk about these different bits. I mean,
Yeah,
that took me 2.5 weeks solid,
yeah,
in nearly every waking hour out of work doing that.
you
And
made a
I'm so
movie.
glad that it got a good reception because it
You
took
made
me
a
a lot of
movie.
time,
Yeah, you made a
but it was
movie.
worth doing.
Yeah, you made a short film, basically, and it
Well, yeah.
was that's what, and that's not easy to do, and I've done that, and it's not easy to do.
It's not.
And but back to the 200 episodes, it's like I'm not suggesting that anybody else do that. As a matter of fact, find out how you can make your channel, your work that you do sustainable as soon as possible, but with integrity.
Sure.
And I have, I think, uh, 3 multi-level marketing companies that I'm doing business with right now, and people are like, "Well, why do you do that?" And I'm
This
like,
is this is something we discussed off air because
yeah,
obviously it's something that I'm well aware of, and I said,
yeah,
you you've talked about these companies you deal with, but I know I know a bit about multi-level marketing schemes and how they can be unsuccessful.
a lot of
And I
it's
wanted to
trash.
make sure where
Yeah,
we were talking about this that we had a good understanding around my understanding of it, which isn't you know
yeah.
I
Well,
I just wondered what was going on with what you're promoting. And I mean, for me,
yeah.
you made me feel comfortable about what you've chosen to offer your viewers. But yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about
Okay.
what you offer.
So, it's I really want to repower my audience. Like I really want I speak to independence, okay? Independence from media, independence from the government, okay? Self-sustaining, right? I talk about, having plenty of food on hand. I don't sell food, right? I talk
Mhm.
about, I was talking about gold and silver, that I believe that's a good thing to have because it's been, currency since the beginning of time, and I didn't sell any, right? So it's like I talk about the things that I believe that'll help us seek independence. It's like have a generator. You got to have a generator, okay? Don't rely on the power. I don't sell generators, right? So there has to be a difference between information and financially benefiting from that information, right? Um, to a certain extent, right? Because there I show my intention, right? Because I wasn't getting any money for any of that stuff, right? So now comes along opportunities, right? To be able to share products with your audience, right? So people will send me things. And so I think, well, the first one of the first things I did was a product called it's known as colloidal silver. And two dear friends of mine that are family may make this stuff. Like and the guy is like a shaman. He prays over it. He structures the water like Emoto from Japan, right? Like love and joy and happiness. And, so that was one of the first things I offered because it helped my friend and I knew it was going to be great for my audience. So that's an example. But if somebody in my audience goes and tells somebody else about it and they buy it, they don't benefit from that. So
Right.
the MLM I've always been very intrigued by because, and it has been called the greatest capitalist model in the history of capitalism. Like it's the greatest financial model in the history of capitalism for they people call it MLM a pyramid scheme. And I'm like,
But
guess
it's
what,
very
dude?
much like a
No.
pyramid scheme. Has
Yeah.
it not been? Has MLMs not been criticised for? I
Oh
mean, I
yeah.
think the figure was 99% of the people that invest in them
Yes.
seem to lose money, and I
Yeah.
think that's from a credible source. You can check me on that, but
The
that
I
worries me.
I don't think the numbers are that important, because what you're saying is accurate. So it's not like we don't have to split hairs about the numbers because the majority of people in an MLM, they're not making money, right? And so that's obviously a concern. But in terms of a model, okay, for example, everyone calls it a pyramid scheme, right?
Right.
We live in a pyramid scheme.
Well,
Like
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
right now, we are in a pyramid scheme, and you and I and our audience, we're at the bottom.
Well, we've both all of our lives,
Yeah,
even guessing it doesn't matter what your age is. In fact,
yeah,
we've both lived all of our lives in a pyramid scheme. That's for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. And so what the goal that I see as an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was 22 years old. I've had payroll that I had to sweat out every Friday, every other Friday, on how I'm going to make payroll and how I'm going to get the receivables in. We did the business, but we don't have the money. And I got to have an accountant. I got to have a lawyer. I've got to have, business insurance in 3 states, and I've got to do this and this and this. And it is one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And I've done a lot of difficult things. And so, but being an entrepreneur, you know, MLM structures make it easier to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to stock product. You don't have to have employees that are going to sue you for workers' comp, or sue you for an injury because they slipped on your floor because they spilled their coffee and then went and slipped. Things like that. They're not going to try to steal your trade secrets, right? And so this, so back to this model. It's a very powerful model. Now, within this model, people can take advantage of it. I do, three things. And I only do a handful of products. And I've got a lot of products right now that people want me to do, and I won't do because I haven't either felt the benefit from it, I haven't seen the results from it, or I don't trust the company.
Okay,
Right?
that's commendable. Yeah.
Thank you. So it takes me a long time before I get to something. With one exception, and I'll tell you why. So I try to focus on health and wealth. All right.
Sure.
So the health, there's a friend of mine has been trying to get me involved in a company called Purium for years. She even sent me free products, and and the main thing about this company is it's 100% organic, and I wouldn't get involved until it became 100% organic, and it now is.
Okay.
And they have a product that gets glyphosate out of your system. And we are all have glyphosate poisoning from Roundup, from Monsanto, right? and they have this product that I haven't seen anywhere else that helps that. And they have a lot of good shakes. Like she said, what kind of shake are you using? For protein shake, right? Like I like to, meals to me are a hassle. Like I just want to get something in me, sustain me, and move on. And so she said, "What are you using?" I said, "Oh, this organic powder." And I showed it to her. She took me to a website. There was glyphosate in this organic product, like high levels of glyphosate. And so I was like, okay, I'm in on this. So I got it. And that's an MLM thing. And yet it's good products. And so we promote it, we support it. And
So
some
do
people,
you have any information about those that are, I say at the bottom, but those that are also helping to grow this scheme? Do you have any information about how they're doing from it?
well, yeah, like you're not allowed to talk about it. And quite
I mean,
that
that's a bit weird.
well, that comes from the government actually. And that's because of what you were
Really?
saying earlier.
Okay.
It's like, "Hey, I made 100,000 last month, so you're gonna do it too," kinda deal. Like you sucking people in with, "You're gonna make all this money." So that was actually government mandated, like that you don't talk about that stuff because
Right, but
they
surely there's the flip side. I mean, if there's
Sure.
99% of people, according to reports, that
Yeah,
are actually losing money on this, on
yeah,
these multi-level marketing schemes, even if some of
yeah,
them are genuine and are profitable, you would think that there's the other side of the coin. People need to know if it's not working out for them. Surely,
yeah,
I mean, I'm
yeah,
sure that you'd have a lot of backlash if
yeah,
you're the products that you're offering. Where
yeah,
I'm sure that you probably have a lot of people in your stream saying, "Hang on a minute, I'm
and
having all these troubles," and I'm sure that that people would know about that. But what I'm
and by the
saying is
way,
that
like,
seems a bit weird.
I'm not making much money on that. Like at all. Like it's very very little because I don't do a lot of stuff for it. I don't promote it a lot. There's another one that I was doing okay with for a while. That's called a Healy, and it's just a little device that it's a microcurrent device that you can wear and you put straps on and it helps with frequencies. Like I healed my back injury with a frequency technology called the Beamer, right? This has similar kind of things with, and Beamer is MLM too. A lot of the great things, most of the great things that are coming out are MLM because they know that that's the easiest way to get word of mouth for things that people experience, right? And so that's a great way to grow your business if you're going to do MLM. So then you're stuck with, well, it's a great product, and if this is the only way that it grows, let me embrace that, right? But the other one, so those two, and I again, I don't make, I still have to have a full-time job. It's not like I'm not,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm not,
we're both in that boat.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So this last one was something that like I was trying to find a company that I could make some money with through sharing gold and silver. And the only company that would touch me because of my content, like literally, I had a local
right.
guy that I would buy silver from, and he wouldn't touch me. And I said, "Dude, how come you won't like? I can't, sell, point people in your direction, and you give me a few bucks."
So we were
Um,
talking about the seven. Was it called
7K,
7K
yeah.
metals? Is that right?
So yeah, so we were talking about metals and getting having that in your portfolio, so to speak, and I think it's smart for anybody. And the only company that would touch me was a company called Dismay Coins, and they did a lot of Trump coins and things like that. And so I shared those and stuff. They would do different coins
So hang
and
on,
that
let me stop you there.
yeah.
So the Trump coins.
Oh, it was not that. It's not that. I see those, and I'm so turned off by that.
Okay, so it's not
Oh,
what's going around at the moment. This whole
no,
scheme
no,
of we'll give you $1,500 if you share these Trump coins, which are basically useless,
that's
and sell them.
disgusting. That's disgusting. So,
Okay,
I'm
so
just
so
talking about like they made a couple coins with Trump on them, basically,
okay,
and
right.
and they wouldn't even sell me bullion. Like I couldn't even give people a link to bullion. And then these other big companies, these big gold and silver companies, I couldn't get them to like return my, thing I filled out and all that. So finally, one of the Snedheads, Nancy Sutherland, came down and saw me in an event down in Orange County, and she said, hey, I know you're busy, but I found this company. They're really integrous. The four founders coming out of Idaho. One used to own Melaleuca, and he funded it, Roger Ball, after he sold Melaleuca. And one of the founders went to the guys and said, basically, listen, we've got to do things differently. Because what you said, there are people at the bottom here that aren't making any money. They're losing money, and we've got to change that. And so they came up with 7K as the name of the company because they thought if somebody's making $7,000 a week, they should be fine. Nobody needs more than $7,000 a week, right? And
sure.
right, and so they capped it. And so as they grew, the cap was 7K, and the extra money would go back into the bottom so that the people at the top, like let's say people in the middle, that they benefit by putting the people at the bottom are getting paid with everything they do underneath them. So
I mean, this addresses my concern. So, if you're selling metals and, this company that you described, their ethos, as it were, the way that they work, if they're giving back to the people at the bottom, if it's benefiting, again, just to sum this whole topic up, if you're offering services that definitely benefit your viewer and yourself, I don't see no problem with it. As we spoke about before, there's no problem with creators with
right.
People that are offering, it's not about offering a service, people that are doing good in this world, people that you want to keep on the screen. If you're watching this video right now, you're probably watching it because you're subscribed to either myself or to David. And if you're doing that, it's because you value our content, I guess.
Yes.
So I don't see anything wrong with people making money off of doing this, because I would love to do this as a job myself, full time.
Yeah.
But
same.
There is definitely a line that needs to be drawn and investigated, and and so this is why we had this conversation about it. It wasn't an opportunity for you to, even though
to promote. It's not a promotion. No, it's not.
It wasn't. It wasn't a promotion. It was a serious question around multi-level marketing schemes, which people are taking advantage of at the moment, and that's why it's important that we mention this, because there's many people out there taking advantage of this multi-level marketing scheme. And I find your view on this, not only your view on this, the insight that you've given on this, very interesting. However, I still feel that there is many characters out there amongst the true field that are really taking advantage of this model, and it's like a pyramid scheme at the end of the day. And there are many good people being sucked into something that's going to lose them money, and that is a grift. So this is where we have to be very careful around this. But I feel that, again, we talked about this before. You talked about this on air, that you've given a very good description of what you do and what you think of MLM as well, because I didn't see necessarily that side of things, which you're describing now, which is that, and even with Will and a few other people that I've talked about, they've said, well, MLM can work. It can be, it can be genuinely profitable, but in most cases, it's not.
It's like anything. Are you doing it with integrity? And because let's be honest about a lot of the people that get into MLM, they're lazy. Like it's just human nature. And so you think you get in because you've been told the things that they can no longer say. Oh, you can make $100,000 a month. And people are like, oh, okay, I'm in. but then they don't work, right? And so they don't work the business, they don't work their connections, they don't share it with, and so it doesn't work because they don't work. And it's like you were saying about retail, like you're only going to hear from the bad apples or the bad experiences,
Mhm.
right? And so that from MLM are going to come out too. The people are going to, and they're going to blame, they look to blame others too. And this is kind of like the shift in the paradigm that I'm talking about with an internal revolution, is that literally people are saying that person's bad, that person's bad. And I'm talking about like the people that are controlling the planet, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, well, how were they funded? We
Mhm.
funded them. How did Bill Gates make all that money? Well, because we bought a bunch of computers with Microsoft in it. You know, we didn't know his dad was eugenicist and funded Margaret Sanger. We didn't know his mom was worked on the board of IBM and gave him DOS. And IBM was the Tom Watson, in the company, tattooed the Auschwitz victims so that they could, put them into the computer and figure out where everything was going. So, we funded our own demise here.
Yeah, it's not always the case.
Yeah. And so I personally, I look for integrity in the people I do business with, the people I talk with, which is why I'm here with you, because I believe I've seen your heart. I believe that I've seen your work ethic, because I know what it takes to put together the shows you've done. I know what it takes to put together a short film that you did with 30
Yeah,
Reasons.
I
And that
appreciate
takes a lot. But look at the content too. It's not only the hard work, because there's a
it.
lot of
No, you
that,
can make
like
a
people.
production and it can be a lot of fluff,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
special effects and everything,
I used to make movies, but when I awakened, I was like, "What am I going to make another romantic comedy? No, I gotta do something of substance here."
Mhm, mhm.
And so, and see, whatever decision I've made, and I've gone from no money to, should I charge a paywall to see me, right? A subscription, which a lot of people do.
Mm.
And I'm like, that doesn't feel right, because it puts a wall between me and the information, between the audience and the information.
I
And
get that.
that's our problem. It's like we're blocking all the important information that we need to be getting.
So I've no issue with Patreons as long as as long as those people are giving the information for free. If you want to
Mhm.
be a part of a Patreon, you'll get
Right.
this extra content that might be about personal life, other
Yeah.
issues, extra things. As long as you never say, if you want more intel or something like that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pay me
Yeah.
money. That's
Yeah.
that's where I draw a line. And
Yeah.
I've never set up a Patreon. I don't know if I ever will. If I did, it would be if you want to, be a part of what's going on in my life. Maybe I'll share personal videos. Maybe I'll share extra content that I don't
Right.
feel is important for the masses to
Yeah.
see.
It's
You
not
know what I
it's not
mean?
yeah.
I would never say if you want to learn more, make sure you pay me money. And then that is what I have a problem with.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And I'm not okay with any I mean, we're kept from what's beneath the Vatican. We're kept from the real information on this planet. And that's why we have to, with as much as this planet has been awakened in the past year and a half, which to me, even though it's a shit show, oh my God, what a great time to be alive. What a great time to be engaged with the planet and the mechanisms that have controlled the planet for eons. For the first time, it literally looks like we are going to be able to take that pyramid scheme that we're all a part of
Mhm.
and flip it upside down. And that's the power of what you and I are doing right now. And that's also comes the responsibility, as Churchill said, you know and where we're seeing that responsibility pissed away by people that don't take this war seriously.
You're absolutely right. And yeah, I mean, I really appreciate your whole outlook, and I really respect
Thank you.
basically you know, you've got this huge following, you know. For me it's huge anyway, but you know, you might be modest to yourself, but we need people like yourself to spread the message, to do interviews with people like myself, to not be afraid of alienating yourself to people that don't have an open mind around these things. So
Right.
I've
Right.
always respected you and others for doing this sort of thing. I respect
Thank
you
you.
for reaching out to me, in fact, and you know, and even being patient with me, and actually wanting to come on, because you didn't have to do this interview. And you know, I really, that's a mark of someone that wants to do an interview with me. That is a big mark of, I don't give a crap what people think, as long as I know, or I know in my heart I'm doing the right thing. And
Yeah.
so that needs to be noted, from any side you look at this, that you know, because there's
Thank you.
no benefit out of you doing an interview with me. There was a lot of benefit out of you taking an interview with Charlie, which you didn't do. So that has a lot to
Thank you.
say
Yeah.
about your credibility and your discernment, and how you look at things. Because you know, like I said, you took a you took multiple decisions that could, if anything, hinder your following, but you stayed true to yourself and your own discernment, your own beliefs, and what you think is right. And that's what's important. I wanted to do
Thank
this in well, I decided about halfway through our interview, and after hours of us talking personally,
you.
that we could certainly do multiple. And
Yeah.
let's connect again.
I'd
Let's do
love that.
multiple.
I'd love
Yeah,
that.
I thought about an hour into this. It's now 2 hours unedited into
Wow.
this. I
Wow.
thought, let's stop it soon. And you went into the next subject, and I was like, yeah, let's carry on. We're on a flow. But
Right. Right.
we
I
can
think,
certainly, there's certainly more points we can cover, and
yeah,
even some of the points we've covered, we can cover more in depth.
sure.
There's one last point I want to cover. You mentioned one special lady earlier, and how you really enjoyed her work, and I wanted to make sure that we got that.
Oh, listen, I would be remiss if I didn't say, that Intel lady, okay, is making me question my own marriage, okay? All right. She
Love it.
um, she is, absolutely fabulous, and, she, yeah, I mean, just and it's, it could easily be seen as maybe, cruel to, make fun of somebody or take on somebody else's persona. But it's done in such a uh, just such a brilliant way. And it also, I think what it does is that it brings into a kind of a new paradigm in that, any public figure is fair game on Saturday Night Live and, all these different shows, right? I'm sorry, you're in the public, you're fair game, okay?
She
And
doesn't
it's
pick on people. She's not. She's such a lovely person, and all these people, like you say, are fair game. She's doing what I'm doing, what you're doing, what other people are doing,
yeah,
but she's doing it in a very clever and very comedic way. She's trying to reach people through
yes,
comedy,
yes,
and that is something so special, because you
yes,
don't see that
yeah,
anywhere else.
yes.
You know, even when I'm doing my work, I might
Mhm.
try and add elements of comedy in that. The way
And
she
I'm
does it is just unique.
yes.
And
And
so
you know
obviously she's part of the Griftbusters panel. If
yeah,
anyone's not seen Griftbusters, it's a show that
fantastic.
myself and now Intel Lady does,
Yeah,
Justice and Will Bird of Cold Beer Confessional, all very influential people, very integral people that look at people that are trying to deceive people. We've done this show, Griftbusters. It's the 6th one. Intel Lady is a new member of the panel, and she is brilliant.
Yes.
And the last show that we did, just to say, we had Jordan Sather on the show as well. Or maybe we'll talk about him next time.
I saw that show. Yes.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was it's the best one so far, and it's getting the most views so far.
Good.
And really, new member of the panel, Intel Lady, I think has really done a lot for the show, because we showed her skits before, but now she's a part of the panel, and that's exciting.
It's fabulous, and it's so it's really important. It's really important work too. And here's the thing, that there needs to be consequences to every action. And just because you say, I'm truth, I'm looking for truth, I'm going to challenge these particular people, that isn't enough to sustain this current reality that we're in, this current war that we're in. And it's not enough to rally the troops. I mean, there's this hopium, and I'll come back to what we were talking about, but this hopium, right, that is being put out there. Okay, the med beds are coming, the quantum financial system is coming, and Trump's coming back. And I've been guilty about the Trump thing, because I'm looking at things from a standpoint of like, okay, I think the audits are going to come out. I think he's going to be back, because this, there's just so much evidence and all that. Excuse me. It's all been speculation with me. Like, I think it's going to happen then, or I think, but the biggest problem with the 17 movement is the people that interpret it incorrectly. All right. But also the people that are out there that are doing this work, there aren't enough consequences for them. And what you're doing and what your team is doing at Griftbusters is showing that there will be consequences to non-integrous misbehavior.
There will be people out there that don't care about any comeback. We my content is about busting grifts. You can't touch me. Other people that might value being associated with you, this is going out to any of these grifters, doesn't touch us, because we're here to check you. We're here to we're here to evaluate you and to give our evaluation to other people. We're here to review you, and people will always, no matter how much they want to hear what you're saying, they will want to hear the review from the critics.
And also, what's so valuable about that is that, because some people, might think I'm a grifter, like, because I'm trying to make this sustainable, right? But what's so valuable, especially now that the Griftbusters is into episode 6, and you guys are like really getting some foundation underneath you and some real talent. Not that there wasn't talent before, but you know what I mean, with increasing your breadth of talent.
Yeah,
is that you got to make it sustainable, man. And you can't see the whole thing with the grift is it can't be tied in with just making money. Like they're grifters because they're making money. And I know you get this, but I'm just kind of saying this for all to hear. It's like, it has to be sustainable. And so that, because I want to see more of what you do. All right. Because there are still people out there. There's still the same people out there that are, promising people that are dying of cancer of med beds instead of what they can do right now.
That's it.
still promising the quantum financial system instead of
you can do
telling them
right
what
now.
they do right now.
Don't listen to these people and think that they're going to be the savior of all of your problems. If you're doing that, you're going to be very disappointed. And that's what I'm here to say. You know, listen to me, don't listen to me. I might be wrong. These people might turn around and be like, here you go. Here's that new quantum financial system I promised you on the 6th of April, 2020. It's finally come here.
Yeah.
That MC was wrong after all.
Yep.
However, I've been telling you here for 5 or 6 of those dates that was never going to happen. It never happened. It won't ever happen. That's my opinion. If it does, okay.
I'll tell you.
Please don't live your life. Please don't live your finances. Please don't live your hopes, your dreams, especially your medical expectations on med beds that are coming from Simon Park's Connected Consciousness Group. Just have some discernment. Just step back. If you don't want to believe me, if you don't like me, that's fine. I don't care.
I've been aware.
I'm here to try and help. If you don't want to, if you just think that I'm a nuisance or whatever to your narrative, that's fine. That's fine. But listen to David at least, or listen to anyone that's saying just have some discernment.
I got to tell you a quick story, and end on this if you'd like, but or continue on. I've got a few more minutes, but if you I was approached. I used to raise money, and I was trying to. I've had some, as an entrepreneur, you're constantly trying to raise money to do something or keep the money coming in so you could grow whatever it is you're doing, right? And so years ago, I was approached by these people that said, "Hey, there's going to be a currency reset, right?" And I said, "Tell me more, tell me more." And they walked me through the dinar, like you've talked about, and all these other things. And yet, and they said, what projects do you have?" And I was like, "Well, I've got this thing I've been trying to do and this thing." And they said, "Well, put it together for us in a package. And it just has to support people and hire people. And it can't be any of these areas where, that kind of thing." So I did that. And I made a couple business plans and I sent it off to them. And I'll tell you, there's not a week that goes by that I don't hear from them via an email on an update of what's going on. But that was 12 years ago.
Wow.
12 years ago. Okay. Wow. So what perspective on this Nisara Jasara do I have? That I've been getting an email every week for the past 12 years saying how close we are.
You should see the emails coming from Charlie Ward's Insider channel. It's like, we're living an exciting week. Things are happening behind the scenes. What an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah.
And that's every single week.
And it's tragic. And by the way, and I said to my the woman who is the go-between between me and these asset holders that, and by the way, I'm not speaking negatively about them at all. I love this woman is a beautiful woman, and she's absolutely lovely. But it's just putting things in perspective. And by the way, they haven't charged me a dime. Like, they've never charged me money for doing what they did and for these constant updates and so forth. But what really came to light here is that if this is going to happen, we can't depend on it happening. And so what it did for a long time was it crippled me financially, because next week I'm going to be a millionaire. The week after, next month, I'm going to be a millionaire. So don't let me start that thing that I've wanted to do for years and years and years, because I'll wait until the money gets here and then I'll do it. And I said to this woman, I said, "Listen, if I was putting together a way in which I could squash all creativity and squash all innovation I would tell the people, I'm going to fund you and I'm going to give you as much money as you need, and you're never going to need any more. And what's that person do? They stop looking for money elsewhere. They stop looking for opportunity elsewhere. They even stop working, stop paying their bills. That's how you can really devastate a population, is by telling them that in another week, another month, all your financial worries are over.
It's very much not a neutralizer. What's the word here? It kind of just
how about it makes you impotent.
Yeah, impotency is a great way to describe it. It completely stops
tragic
a lot of people in their tracks and immobilizes them.
Immobilizing, even better, even better, because they go from moving forward in life to just sitting and waiting,
dead,
like we were talking about.
of a promise, a fleeting promise that's been given. They will stop anything, and that's dangerous again. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about, you know, eating your popcorn and watching the show. No one should watch the show. And I think you know, that's a big message from us two collaborating tonight that needs to be said.
Yeah, and
David,
17 never said don't do anything. 17 said engage. 17 said participate.
yeah.
And
But
that's
a lot
the
of the
only
people have been pushing that have been saying eat your popcorn and watch the show, and that is this is the thing. This is where things get skewed. This is where there's a difference between Q and QAnons. And there's a difference between, you know, a lot of things. What you're reporting on and what the actual information is.
Yeah.
You need to be very careful of that.
And I have, and
is the
just
message here.
on the 17 topic, is that I do talk to my audience about if 17 was a psyop, and we go down that road.
That is good. That is brilliant, and I have actually seen that, and that's
cool.
You know, a big reason to have discussions with you, because I know that you can have discussions and you can think outside the box, and I think that you know that I can, because if I was someone here saying, nah, that's definitely not happening, that's not real, you'd think, what an idiot. You know, this is what we said earlier. There's these three levels, and you know, either side of the spectrum are fools if they're that extreme. And what's where the real money is, where the real importance is the people that can discuss this.
The substance is in the middle there, and really seeing the extremes and seeing the substance of what's there, and with my take on the whole thing is that if this is a psychological operation, they told us too much. Because look what's happening. Look what's happening. Nobody's talking about
chaos so far.
What's that?
It's caused chaos so far. It's caused us. Well, I say it's caused. I mean, there's been a storming of the Capitol. There's been all sorts. There's been all over the media. They've been using that as for good reasons and for bad reasons.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute mess.
So,
and the people
did you know I was there on the 6th. Did you know I was there? And they just came out this week and said, you know, basically, if you were in this perimeter, you were trespassing.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
It was only the people that actually went into that building, and these people were not genuine, normal people. They were plants.
Yeah.
A lot of them, at least.
Yeah. And so
we're there to cause havoc, to cause a media storm, to cause problems, to cause a big 17 headline. That's what it was about.
Exactly. So they're using that. And one of the most important things to consider about 17 is look at what the mainstream is doing to try to discredit it. And it's like, you know, I voted for Trump. but not before I saw who was against him. And everybody, when I saw who was against him and speaking out against him,
Thank
I'm
you for
like,
saying that.
that's my
Because
guy.
most people are saying that they supported him blind. I mean,
Yeah, no, for me, it was like, okay, the media is against him. The Hollywood is against him.
it's very telling
Republicans are against him.
against him.
The Republicans that I didn't respect, right? Look at all these people that are against him, and look at the lack of substance with which they're trying to define him. And so that's what we see with Q, is that there's an attempt at discrediting, when in actuality the discrediting should be done to the people who are misinterpreting Q. And also look at the, and I talk about this too. Q has seen the future. There is no question in my mind, in the minds of my co-host Todd Gedeminski, that there have been predictions made by 17 that have turned out to be true. There have been, time stamps and so forth. Now, but here's the key to this. There's two different ways that you can tell the future, and one of them is you create the future. Right?
Yeah. I mean, if you get told something's going to happen, quite often it can lead to it happening.
Yeah, that's true.
I love the idea of time travel, and I've looked into all sorts of cases of it, and some turned out to be shills, some turned out to be just interesting stories that could be true. I believe it's possible, and I believe that there's so much behind this. But for you to say that is a big thing, and probably a big thing to end this on.
So yeah, but there's only two ways. There's only two ways that you can predict the future. One is time travel, and two is you create the future, like what you were saying, right? And so both of those have to be looked at as possibilities. And so if Q is talking about Antifa in 2017 and all these riots, then either Q saw in the future or Q is a part of creating those riots.
Exactly. Till next time, David.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.